Hello, welcome everyone. We just got through 30 fantastic introductions. My name is Lucas Chaffee, co-founder of QiqoChat and lead software engineer based in New York. And so today, hands-on workshop to give you a chance to create your first QiqoChat event. We'll start off with an overview of different types of events that are held on the platform. It's a platform for dialogue. It's a platform for collaboration. It's a platform for online conferences. And what makes it different is it really lets people connect through a variety of ways. Of course, through Zoom, like all of us are connecting right now, through QiqoChat and through Zoom. And then there's also one-on-one chat messaging. And we give a lot of information about participants they can share with each other. So they can find each other and they can communicate through direct messaging, and also working together to do brainstorming, post-it notes. We're doing this event here as part of the National Coalition for Dialogue and Deliberation's Summer Learning Springboard. So there are many different methods that people on this call use to bring people together. It might be open space, which is a method where people choose the topics for a conference. You might use Conversation Cafe, small group tables, and people are mixing between the tables in a structured way. Or there's a whole number of other methods across the National Coalition for Dialogue and Deliberation that people might use here today. So in the beginning, we'll just do an intro of here's a lot of different ways that people are using Qiqo. So I'll share my screen with you, and please do feel free to interrupt with any questions, because some of you won't be on video. I won't see you waving your hands, so just unmute yourself and talk over me to get your question in. You're absolutely welcome to do that. So today we are meeting here on NCDD Summer Learning Springboard. It is an event on QiqoChat. So you already have experience participating, and today you'll get experience creating your own event. As we scroll down, you'll see all the different rooms, the main room, networking rooms A and B, and then room 1, 2, 3, and here we are, we're all in room 4. You can see everyone's on video. And when you jump between rooms, you select the room. So if I jump over to room 3, then at the top of the page, it says join video for room 3. So that's a separate Zoom meeting. So QiqoChat makes it easy for you to create up to 100 rooms. Each of them has its own Zoom meeting, and you normally don't have 100 Zoom meetings on hand, but this just allows you to create many different online spaces. And each of these spaces, so now we're in room 3. This was a fantastic workshop yesterday called Do I Even Want to Be Considered Neutral, that had dozens and dozens of people. So when you're in this room, here's the description, which is a PDF, or it could be a Google Doc. And then there's a survey and website. And as this website loads, I believe it is the website of the presenter. So you're able to combine websites and tools and videos to put them into all the spaces that you want. And when we go into the space where all of us are here, room 4, this is the workshop that we have going on right now. We have a PDF and a YouTube video. So you can learn more about QiqoChat there. And QiqoChat is helpful because it allows you to create all these spaces ahead of time, and it allows participants to move themselves. So you don't feel like you're locked into one spot. Just by giving you as participants the freedom of movement, you feel a little bit better, less cramped, and you'll be able to pay attention longer because you won't get Zoom fatigue. Because if you get bored in this session, you can go over to another session if another session was happening. So those are the two main advantages of QiqoChat. You're able, as the organizer, to create many spaces. And then on the participant side, they can move between those spaces at their own pace.
Lucas, this is Brooke. I had a quick question on like the tabs that you have, and that previous one showed survey, but it was really like a Google Doc that took you to another outside web page.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, like, is it possible to like, there's so many survey tools, like embed like a SurveyMonkey survey tool where somebody's taking the survey directly in the platform?
Absolutely. Google Forms is the first one that comes to mind. I'll share a link here. Tools that you can embed into QiqoChat. Click YouTube video, or I'll go to the one that you asked for. I'm looking for surveys. Here we go, Google form. So this is an example of a Google form embedded inside QiqoChat. I'll put that into Zoom chat. Tools you can embed. So when you're working together today and creating your first QiqoChat event, you might want to try some of these tools. Let's take a look at some of the other types of events that happen on QiqoChat. So here's the Summer Learning Springboard. And the reason that they're using this tool for the Summer Learning Springboard is because each of these workshop presenters wanted to put their own documents in each of their rooms. And I'll also note that you saw me jump over to room 3, but I'm still connected with you on room 4 on Zoom. So they're separate. So the web page is separate from Zoom. That gives you more freedom. You can move and take a look into any room. And if you want, you can disconnect from the Zoom that you're in and then join Zoom over there. But it's not committal. You're just taking a look, taking a look, taking a look. So this works for a variety of events. Here is an event we did with the United Nations. So this event lasted something like 28 days. They had a big opening, and then they had a different workshop on each day. Some of these were in multiple languages. So this was in English, French, and Spanish. We had interpreters present. Those interpreters were in Zoom. And here we have the agenda and other notes here. So this is a traditional conference in an academic sense. Here we have 3 rooms. This is the plenary room where all the activity was happening. There was a networking room and a puzzle room, which I'll show. This is IEEE, Professional Association of Electrical Engineers. So here, my schedule. This is a tool in QiqoChat that you can create new items and then each of these links to the proper page. So you can set it, which page do you want this event to happen in. We'll spend more time going through the different tools, but right now you're just getting a sense of different PDFs that people are putting in here. What's happening on 9 June, 10 June. Here are some sessions. So this person is giving a presentation, and here's a YouTube video that they uploaded ahead of time. And below that is a notes section where people could type notes about their presentation. And then here's the next presentation down below, down below, down below. I know it's a bit overwhelming to see all of these different formats, but right now you're not trying to memorize the different formats. You're just trying to think about what's possible. Oh, we can put in YouTube videos, and here is a conference with a marketplace attached. So they had an orientation room through the multiple days of this conference. You can come in and get your questions answered. They always had someone staffed at that location. And then there's multiple tracks: Wednesday track 1, Wednesday track 2, Thursday track 1, Thursday track 2. And down here are some people in an exhibit hall. So exhibitors will just click on Organic Mechanics Soil Company, and it's like you're walking into their store. Here's their website. You can look information about us. Here's a video. Their product catalog is a PDF. This is most commonly people are putting in PDFs and videos and websites. And then join video if you want to speak to them. Here's a career fair in the Philippines. You see, it looks very different. So you can customize these pages to make it match your organization's colors. They're bringing in a tool here called Airtable. All the mentors at this career fair. So there's limitless possibilities. Here's another career fair in the United States. Click on HSBC. This is the lobby. It looks like HSBC was not present at this one. We'll go to Saks off Fifth Avenue. So this is a notes tool that you're going to become familiar with. It's automatically built into each breakout space, and you can structure it the way you want. So here people are writing out who is going to be on the waiting list. This is just free form text. You can put anything you want there. And this is how they created the waiting list of who's going to get in the next one-on-one interview. If we click LinkedIn, you can see we can bring in some social media posts. And this will link out to their careers page. Here, religious services. So this is over a 10-day period last fall. And they had several services going on in different rooms. So here, the video is off, but this is where you would click to join Zoom. This is in the lobby. They turned the participant photos off. They thought that would be distracting. So you just see there's one person here. And then there's different locations. So the one service is happening in this room, another service is happening in this room at different times, some break rooms. This next one was a remote conference. Over 2,000 people participated. It's in Switzerland. These are people similar to National Coalition for Dialogue and Deliberation folks, more of an international context. This one's pretty colorful, but it lasted 6 days. So the colors might be a little bit overwhelming initially, but after day one, day two, the colors were kind of nice. So I like how they did it, but normally events are not this colorful with all these different colorful buttons. They had over 100 rooms, 100 Zoom meetings going. Here's their live stream. They had a lot of resources to put this one on. They were at this palace in Switzerland. And this is where everybody was filming to go out onto the live stream. And then here were all the discussion sessions that were happening. So it was a combination of a live stream plus discussion sessions. They had a fun photo booth, the gallery of all the photos that come out of the photo booth, a detailed program, a list of participants. You can see where participants are on the map. This is a tool that's built into QiqoChat here. There's a lot, so this one takes a while to load. So people are coming from all over. And you can click on anyone's name to learn more about them. And then you can click on their profile and you can send them a one-to-one message. Again, I know this is a bit overwhelming to see so many tools put together, but when we look back at the simple layout that we have for our event today, you see it could be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. Okay, let me take some questions here, and then we'll start talking about open space and Conversation Cafe and how to build those spaces online, and specifically how to build them on QiqoChat. So are there any questions people like to discuss?
Well, this might be premature because maybe you're going to cover this momentarily, but I guess I'm wondering for NCDD today and yesterday, how am I experiencing open space and Conversation Cafe? Or have I yet experienced it?
You have not yet experienced it. Conversation Cafe and open space are dialogue experiences where you're talking about some tough topics with other participants. Here, you're going through different workshops where you've jumped into this workshop here, which lasts 2 hours on Wednesday. There's another workshop later today, another few workshops tomorrow and Friday.
Okay, so right now I'm just in a room through Zoom, through Qiqo on Zoom. The open space or the Conversation Cafe, those are options to me, for people to just float in and out of and talk to one another if they want to, or are those also intended to be structured spaces?
There is no Conversation Cafe or dialogue with the workshop series that lasts this week. There is a networking session, which I believe happens tomorrow.
Yes, I thought just now when you were showing us with the cursor, I thought I saw it on NCDD's page. That's why I was confused.
Oh, let's take another look here. So here we are currently in online open space and conversation cafe with QiqoChat. So this is a hands-on session where you get a chance to build and customize breakout spaces to enhance any dialogue session. So we're learning how to use the tool rather than talking and having a dialogue.
Got it. It was my own confusion. It was the name of the current workshop. I thought it was showing it as an option for attendees. Totally get it now. Thank you.
Of course, Gail, you're absolutely welcome. Yes, please, Duncan, a next question.
Yeah.
Does the Zoom licensing work for this?
Okay, Amy, happy to answer your question about Zoom licensing. So we purchase 420 licenses from Zoom every month. And then for every event, we hand them out to you. So there are thousands of meetings every month on Qiqo, and you're sharing the same license, but you get your own meeting ID. So you have up to 100 rooms. And when your conference is active during those hours, we move the licenses over to you. So you don't have to pay Zoom anything. When you pay us, we pay Zoom for you. The cost I'll put into the chat is $1 per day per person plus a penny per minute per person. So that translates to $3.40 for a half-day workshop per person.
What I'm curious though, like if you don't, does this require always advanced registration? So I'm just thinking about how this might be used for a more typical and local government kind of an open house where anybody could kind of drop into the event. They can look at information about a particular, they can chat with project staff or other city staff to ask questions, but we don't necessarily know how many people, we get registrations, but we also just have walk-ins. So that's what basically, how do you handle walk-ins to your event?
Absolutely. So we host open office hours. So the short answer is we make as few decisions as possible about your event. We give you all the options. So if you want people to register ahead of time, then they have to register ahead of time. If you want walk-ins, then they can walk in. It's completely up to you. If you want your event to be open to the world, then anybody can come in with just a guest username. They just type Brooke and then they're in. And then they can even get into your Zoom meetings. That's appropriate sometimes, and then sometimes you don't want that. There's other times when you want to restrict everything by email address. So someone has to come in with a specific email address. Maybe you're collecting payment on Eventbrite. So they've registered there. You've got all the people who paid. You've got all their email addresses. And then you can connect that over to QiqoChat to say, here are the people who can get in. If they don't have these email addresses, they can't get in. Email confirmation can be required or not. And you can even connect those payment systems to QiqoChat. So as soon as people register on Eventbrite, they get the invitation on QiqoChat. All of these are different options. Please, with your follow-up, Brooke.
Yeah, my quick follow-up on that is so if I'm scheduling an event, say as a walk-in event where anybody can enter with just a guest code, but I still maybe want to collect some optional demographic data. So say I want to understand, the diversity or the racial makeup or the age of my participants. Am I allowed when somebody signs in as a guest to put some additional survey questions so I can, again, capture and analyze who's actually showing up at my event?
Absolutely. You get an hour free support from us for every event that you host. We host open office hours several times per week, and we can also arrange. So for that specific need to get more demographic data about the participants, you will need our help. So here is the link to open office hours. I'll put that in the chat. So it's about 11 o'clock Eastern, 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes 2 times a day. So on the busy months, 6 times a week. Duncan, you've been very patient with your question.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So I was watching your little promo or your little video in the main space, and it seems like that this has really been designed from the lens of facilitators, and how can we actually be good facilitators as opposed to so many other platforms that are just good old meeting style thing. So I'm curious, what were some of the things that you really wanted to do different with this platform compared to other more, I don't know, not dialogue based thinking?
Thanks for the question. So I started building QiqoChat in 2012 and is a side project for the most part. In 2015, we started integrating it with Zoom because NCDD members, Linda Eleanor, actually, who was the person who called for this workshop series, this Summer Learning Springboard, was the one that suggested to me, she said, you got to integrate with Zoom. We were integrating with some other video tool at that time. So I took her advice and we integrated with Zoom in 2015. So it's been 6 years. We were one of Zoom's earliest integration partners. So as a facilitator myself, I'm an open space facilitator going back about 15 years and creating unconferences also, especially in the open government space in Washington, DC, when I lived there around 2009 through 2011. I did an open government community summit series. And around that time, I was also on the board of NCDD. And QiqoChat is a tool for events. It's also a tool to keep your people connected between your events with a lot of different collaborative tools. So from my experience on the NCDD board, I saw there weren't a lot of tools to keep people connected other than listservs. And so we started building that. If you think of open space where anyone can call a session during the day or 2 or 3 that your open space event is happening, well, what if you reduce some of the limitations of the event and you say, well, what if the event lasted all year and anyone can call a session at any time? Maybe only 6 people will show up, but using open space thinking, it's the right 6 people for that conversation. So just starting to build more tools and make them available for communities. And the first groups to use it were NCDD members and people from the open space list, the open space community of practice. Open space had a few tools that were built to facilitate it. Like Maestro Conference was fantastic for audio. And now they've just gotten into video in the last 6 months or so. And people were innovating, bringing people together. It was very exciting to see a lot of innovators that are on NCDD's list building events. But then we just started thinking, how do we build it for Zoom, connecting Google Docs and Zoom? So that was the initial combination of tools. How do you pair a notes page with a Zoom call? And then what is possible? So when we just started listening to facilitators, everybody wanted something different. And then we realized we could not make all the decisions for them. So our method of organizing just became create all the options, make sure all the options work together well, and let them make the options. But because we have so many options, people don't even know what to not do. So that's why we have the free support, the open office hours, so that you don't feel like you're building these events on your own. What I just showed were some complex events. Sometimes our chief operations officer and I, Sandra, we put in 100 hours to put on an event ahead of time for a conference of say 500 people that lasts 3 days, one of these engineering conferences where there's 200 presenters, everybody's submitting a video. So a lot of time, but we built it also so that, and you'll see today, you can create an open space event in a minute. And that's what we're going to get into for the hands-on portion of this workshop. Duncan, did that answer the question? So it was just generally, how do we, like, recognizing our own, we have to be humble when designing the tool. We can't make all the decisions. We just put them out there, see which decisions people like, maybe start to set those as the defaults, but just give them options and then listen to their needs for what tools they want to bring in.
Yeah, and I think that's what I really understood is, I feel like as a facilitator, it's just like every online tool, I just know that I'm going to run up against some limit, right? Like, okay, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. And so what I really understand is that by having to be super interoperable and flexible and like being aware of, wow, facilitators might want to be able to put people into groups of 4 and then switch those groups of 4 up and keep track of what, that you figured that out. So thanks. Yeah.
You're very welcome. And there's always much more work that we can do. So you'll see what Qiqo can do now, and then you'll have some ideas. Oh, hey, I wish I could do this and this and this. Well, my email is lucas@QiqoChat.com. I'll put it in the chat. Just reach out to me, drop into the open office hours. Tell us what you need Qiqo to do that it can't already do. Okay, Donna, please.
Yes, I came a little late. I'm sorry, I live in Hawaii.
My question is, one of the biggest services I provide as a facilitator when I'm working with people who are organizing an event is that I sit down with them and I try to help them get real clarity about what they're trying to achieve. What are the desired outcomes? And then I give them options about, okay, here are some options about how you can do this, or how you can do this, or how you can do this. And I see that based on your showing us examples, that's that, except in a really much more, many more options. So in the beginning, do you provide them with that kind of support? Because I think that's most critical in terms of creating that structure that enables them to get what they want to achieve.
So you are our customer, actually. We work for you. So you have clients already, and they're using different tools to bring their people online. And so our primary customer are facilitators and meeting planners. So we empower you with the options, and then you coach the customer. So there were about 1,000 events on QiqoChat last year. And the ones that we did internally, maybe about 40, 50, something like that, small ones to large ones. So most of them are done by other people who are just like the people on this call. And sometimes they're $20 events. Sometimes they're multi-$1,000 events. And you'll find that you're able to charge plenty on top of what we charge. Our prices are on the lower side for the platforms. Of course, you can't beat Zoom. It's $15 or $20 a month, depending on what kind you're getting. And if you want to increase it to 1,000 people, then it's only another $90. But there's limitations you run up against. So when you need to do something online with Zoom, but you can't do it with Zoom alone, and then trying to cobble together all these links of Google Docs and sharing them in the chat just feels cumbersome. And if your client has a budget, then we help you. We teach you how to put your event on. You can hire us at about $138 an hour, depending on how many hours you're hiring us for. And we could teach you in that event, so you can build that event out. We as I mentioned, we provide an hour of support for free for every event, so you never feel stuck. Did I get to your answer, Donna?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Additional questions? Floor is open.
Actually, Lucas, I pitch a rephrase for you. You could say we include an hour as part of our services. I'm trying to get one word free, because it really, it's just baked in for you're helping people get on board, but it's not quite free. So just how I'm hearing you.
Great. We include an hour of support at no additional charge. So now if we're talking about dialogue events, so you've seen things like career fairs and religious services, and they may or may not be relevant to you. Depending on what you do, you might also say, well, I'm a dialogue facilitator, but now there's all these organizations that are trying to go online. I'm a member of this congregation, or I'm a member of this association. You never necessarily saw yourself as someone who did events, but if you have skills on how to bring people together for dialogue, you also have skills for how to bring people together for events. This is something that you can add on to your consultancy, and we're here to help you make money. When you make money, we make money. When you look good, we look good. So let's take a look at an open space event. My friend Heidi Nubantu Saul created this one here. This is the Internet Identity Workshop. And this is number 32. They've been meeting every 6 months for 15, 16 years. They've held the last 3 on QiqoChat. They usually have about 400 or 500 people attending, and they meet for 3 days, plenty of time. People would travel all the way to the Computer History Museum in California to come to these conferences, the international folks. They found that when they brought these online, now they can get even more people internationally to come and attend, because the cost is going to be much lower when you don't have to have airfare and hotel. But I'll briefly show some components of how they organize this space. So here on the left, they put an image for creating the mood. So this is where they used to meet in person. So people could ground themselves, anchor themselves with a familiar site. And like, oh yes, I remember I used to post my session topic on this board. And here we are in the opening or closing circle. Here are the tools in the circle. Some tools are simple, like here's a list of sponsors. And someone asked about surveys. Let's see. Okay, this is SurveyMonkey, but they're linking out. It's not embedded. I'll show how they build the agenda. So with open space, you have a way for people to share what topic they would like to discuss. And we'll click on Agenda Day 1. Let me see, Agenda Day 3, this one here. So this is a good example. You can make it as easy or as complex as you want. This is a group that has been using open space, as I mentioned, for over 15 years. So this is complex, but it needed to be because they get into some really technical topics. So here you see breakout space A through Z, and here are the titles of the sessions, and here are the people who are convening those sessions. You can use a Google Sheet like this, or you could just put it in a notes tool. Some other things that are helpful, maybe you have engagement guidelines. And I'm also looking for the, sometimes we see here, this, I'll share this example. There's a company that does open space in the UK. They do it very, very well. And they created these graphics, and these graphics are available for you to use if you like. They put their name here. Principles of open space. Whomever comes are the right people, whenever it starts is the right time, wherever it happens is the right place. Whatever happens is the only thing that could have, when it's over, it's over. The law of 2 feet, online it's the law of 2 clicks, which says if you're not learning or contributing where you are, then you should go to somewhere else. You should go to another session where you can learn or contribute. And you can be a bumblebee or a butterfly. A bumblebee is going to move from session to session, cross-pollinating ideas. A butterfly may just be in one of the break areas and not joining the sessions, but people will come up to them and often they'll have breakthrough conversations. And finally, with open space, be prepared to be surprised. So I'll share this fun link in Zoom chat, and then we'll give you a chance to create your own Qiqo event, and you'll see that you can create a simple event very quickly. So I'm sharing this one in the chat. The next thing I'll share in the chat is a link for how to create QiqoChat events. So it'll take you to this tutorial, which we'll walk through together. You can create a test event on QiqoChat for free. Test it out with your friends. And you'll sign in, but you already have a Qiqo account because this event is that we're on right now is being held in Qiqo. And then this is where you can go to the demo circle and create your test events. So I'm going to share this link if anybody wants to work ahead. But also I'll share how easy it is. So I'm going to go to the demo circle. You can watch me do it. So here's the whole thing that you're about to do, to create your first either conversation cafe or open space. And maybe before we dive into that, I want to open up to, I think there's a bunch of people here quite experienced with Conversation Cafe. I see Ron Gross here, who lives nearby to where I live in New York. Ron, you want to speak a little bit about Conversation Cafe or the work that you do?
Oh, certainly. The Conversation Cafe was devised by a group of women out on an island off the West Coast as a response to the crisis the country was going through a few years ago. And it's basically a very simple methodology for people to come together to have small, intimate, authentic, meaningful, collaborative conversations about issues that really matter to them.
And the minimum specifications for these conversations, I would think, would be you need several tables. And on QiqoChat, we have a different page for every table. And on that table, you need a Zoom meeting so that people can talk and see each other if they want. And the other thing you need would be a place to take notes. You might also need a talking object to know who speaks next. Aside from that, I think that's a basic setup. Anything else that you would say? Maybe a list of here are the principles we're going to abide by while we're speaking together. Anything else you'd add, Ron?
Yes, just those agreements are, and they are suggested on the Conversation Cafe website, which is excellent, and on which you can not only you can see little video modules that train you in how to do what you're just describing, Lucas. And while I have the floor, I just want to say this is one of the best, most informative and serviceable and meaningful sessions of this kind that I've ever attended. So thank you so much for doing it. It's fantastic.
You're welcome. Thanks for the kind words. Like I said, we make money when you make money. So we have to empower you to go out and bring, like, we didn't build all these tools. We didn't build Google Docs and we didn't build Zoom. Our job is just to connect them and to help you arrange them in the custom way that works best. So our success is tied to yours. There's also a community of practice of, so right now we're in the middle of transitioning from like a centralized model where, unfortunately, I'm really the only one that sees the rich diversity of all the different events that are happening, and also our Chief Operations Officer, Sandra. So right now we're connecting the network of people who have created Qiqo events so that they can learn from each other. And then we can kind of step back and let all those great connections happen. John is adding also min specs for World Cafe. Several tables, a place for notes, method to push questions, and possibly one more thing. Well, if we remember what that might be, we'll bring it in. John, thanks for writing the min specs out there in the Zoom chat. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm in the demo circle. This link is in the tutorial here. Visit the demo circle. You don't have to do this now. We're going to do this step by step. So I click add an event. Oh, well, what is a circle? A circle is a group of people. If you're familiar with Facebook, Facebook has groups. QiqoChat has circles. And we chose the word circle because it's got its essence in dialogue where everybody has an equal place on it. And we're trying to build that into the fabric of the tool. So a circle is for a group of people, and it has many different tools. It has a member directory, a calendar of events, which you see now, an online discussion forum, a place where you can share documents. It has a remote disco if you want it. That was something we did for one of the events. It has a weekly newsletter, frequently asked questions, and some additional tools. But the primary one that you would use would be the calendar and also the member directory. The one that I skipped over is the cafe, which is, it's like a garden or public park. You can go to at any time. It's like a water cooler at a company where you don't know who's going to be there, but chances are you're going to bump into somebody and you might have a great conversation. So the cafe is a space that's always open, whereas the calendar is where you create events that have a certain start and end time. So this is what I'm going to show you in today's hands-on tutorial. We have over an hour left. We have plenty of time. So you'll see how quick you can create an example conversation cafe. You click add an event. My example conversation cafe. You put the start date, the number of minutes. I'll say 120 minutes, 2 hours. And then schedule. Okay, so all we did was you put in title, start date, and the duration. There's a lot of other options that are here, which we'll get to after we create the event. But schedule the event. Now it's putting it on the calendar. each of you will get a chance to do this. This is where you can do your free events. My example conversation cafe. When you do it, I ask you to put your name on there so that we know whose is whose. But I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go to it right now. It's a very basic page where you see the name of the event and you can click participate now. Someone had asked earlier about registration. Do we want people to register or not? So if I click this, I can unregister or click to register. So because I created it, it registers me automatically. So next I'll click participate now to enter the event space. This is ready to go for your conversation cafe. Here's the main room. Maybe you want to rename it and you want to call it the main table. You could do that, and I can show you how to do that. Main room, room 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 10 by default. And here's a notes page that's automatically built in. So anyone can type here. So that's what Qiqo does for you when you create just a name, a start date, and a duration. It'll create your event. Your event has its own link. And you would share that link with all the participants. Or another option is you can click invite and you can send them an invitation so that they don't even have to create an account and create a password. That's what the invite button does. It lets you put in their name and email, and then they're going to receive a link which just says click here to be automatically signed in to the example conversation cafe. So you can put your own notes up here. You can replace this with a Google Doc. You could replace it with these principles here. These principles are for open space, but you could put the principles of Conversation Cafe up there. And then there's some other components here. You need a way to assign people to their rooms. And there's a few ways to do that. And you also need a way, as John had mentioned in the chat, we need a way to push the question to everybody. So what is the next question we want to discuss at our tables? So I'm going to push the question. I'll click admin controls. I can do this as the administrator. And notify breakout rooms. Okay, question number 2 is ABC 1, 2, 3. And click send. And so then your message goes at the top of the page. We do need a way to assign people to the rooms. You could do that verbally. You could do it randomly, like people normally do it randomly when they just stand up at a conversation cafe and they move themselves around. But maybe you also just want to send them. You can click admin controls, assign people to breakouts, and maybe we want 4 people per table. Breakout and table are the same, and click send. And so then it will put everybody's names here.
Lucas, I have a quick question on the kind of choose your own breakout adventure versus assigning. So say I want to set something up and let people choose whichever table, the room they want to go to, but I want to limit the number of people who could show up in that room. So like you can go to everyone you want, but once 6 people are there, this breakout is full. Is there a setting to do that?
There is. So this is as good a time as any to just see some of the settings behind the scenes. We'll click edit. And this will be a familiar page where you've already typed in your title, your start time, and your duration. It's the same form. And we're going to go to show hide optional features. Now, this whole page is getting an overhaul. To go through it, you just click and you can read all the different options. Each one of them, we'll click show hide here. So I'm going to get to answer your question in a moment, but here's just a little bit orientation to this page. So there's many options. If you want to close the event, simple enough, you can close the event. But if you don't know what the implications of this are, click helpful hints. And it tells you more information about that option. So we try to be wordy just in case I'm not next to you when you're creating this event, so you can get all your answers. So right now I'm looking for number of people It's going to be up here, I believe, under security and permissions. This is where you can restrict which email addresses do you want to have access? Who do you want to be an administrator of the space? Or do you want to create a 6-digit claim host key, like we've done with this NCDD Learning Springboard, where the organizers of the workshops are able to, on Zoom, click claim host and then enter the 6-digit key. And here we're getting into breakouts that have a maximum number of participants. We'll say rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the max number of people, 5 people. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
So room 0 is the main room, and then room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be breakouts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how you would apply it. It's not too intimidating as long as someone shows you that it's possible. But you see, there's probably 100 different settings on this page because there's 100 different things that people have asked for. So we make them all available, and patiently, you'll find it if you just go through it. It'll be, you only need 10% of these features, but everybody needs a different 10%. So for you, just viewing them all, and then you can find out the ones that are most helpful for you. And then now that we've set the max number of participants for these rooms, we'll go down and click update. When there are more than 5 people, when there are 5 people at any of these rooms, it's going to say room is full. Jay is asking a question in the chat. How about assigning specific people to specific chat rooms? If we do it over here, where all of you already are, I click admin controls, assign people to breakouts, and I say 4. I'm not going to do it in this event because it would be interfering with the other workshops that are happening. But what will happen for you is you're going to stay connected to Zoom with me here because Zoom is separate from the browser, but you're going to start to see your name in one of these rooms, and your page is going to refresh, and you will be brought to that new room. In the context of our conversation cafe, you might be brought to room number 3, for example. It'll have your name up there, say room 3. And then as the host would have put some note in here, something like notes for room 3. Please add your notes here. And maybe you give them a format, participants, add your name here, that kind of thing. You can put a little bit of, make it a big heading. So you prepare the rooms ahead of time, and then you click assign, and then people will have their page change. So they will be moved. Now, the next thing that I would do if I was running Conversation Cafe is I would let everyone know that the pages have changed, because they're going to have to take one action. That action is disconnect from Zoom and connect to the new Zoom meeting. So now it says join video for room 3, because maybe I was in room 6 before. So I have to leave Zoom and then click join Zoom here. There's one way that you can notify people with a chime. I'll click admin controls. I could set a timer if you want a timer. We'll say 5 minutes. So people can at least anticipate. They see this timer in all rooms right now. I'll 0 that out so that goes away. And then a sound. You should hear this at your computer. So now you know that the rooms have shuffled. It's time to leave Zoom and go to your next Zoom meeting. Often you may want someone to stay in that Zoom meeting. I think that might be the preference of the Conversation Cafe host. So some people might find that they're already in the meeting where they need to be. We have another question in the chat. You can also say, John, Jim, and Mary, you're going to be in room 3. You can't broadcast your voice out, but I think the simplest minimum specification is you run a chime like that, and then people know to close Zoom and look at the QiqoChat space to find their next room. If they are stuck, then they should always know to go to live chat, and they'll ask their questions here. Everyone can see this live chat across all the rooms. So I'm going to pause here. The difference between Qiqo and Zoom is that we don't push the people into the next Zoom meeting, whereas when you're in Zoom breakouts, you can. I might as well say, you could run the entire conversation cafe off of Zoom, one Zoom meeting and Zoom breakouts, the way you normally do, because that's, if you haven't been using QiqoChat and you've been doing conversation cafe, it's probably with one Zoom meeting and breakouts, so you can keep doing that. Just have all your rooms on Qiqo and use Zoom and its breakouts in Zoom. So that's another option where people don't need to jump between Zoom meetings. So, okay, I'll pause here to see any feedback, comments, suggestions.
Lucas, I think I'm not being clear about my question. I've had trouble with Zoom when I want to have a reference group, and it's a multiple meeting times, and I want John, Jim, and Mary to be in the same group every day. So that's what I mean by having it set. It's not random, in other words. Can we do that?
Here's one thing that we can do, Jay. We can label the rooms with those people, and I'll show that to you right now. I'm going to go to the Conversation Cafe event that I've created, and I click Admin Controls, set the topics for the breakout rooms. And I think you said John, Jim, Mary, Joe, Jose, Sally, and you could put different names there. And then I click Save Room Topics. Now, John, Jim, and Mary know that room 1 is theirs. They know that. So that's another thing you can do, but people will have to move themselves. Just like you've been moving yourself on today's workshop, that's the same process that people would be doing in this Conversation Cafe.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. This is a good spot for us to pause and take additional questions. I think then I'll help you create your first Qiqo event.
Lucas, this is Dolores. And I put my question in chat as well. How do you handle the multiple rounds related to Conversation Cafe and moving people from round 1, round 2, dialogue round, and final round? And I think you mentioned earlier the ability to handle talking objects. And how does that happen with this framework as well?
I think we have many different facilitators here, and everyone would do it slightly differently. My way is not necessarily any better. And I would say, because people on this call probably have done many more conversation cafes than I've ever done, I would actually trust your instincts here. So my limits are, I can show you the options. Can you see if this person needs help? I can show you the options, and then you can see what the differences are. Yes. Go ahead, Ron. How would you put the pieces together?
Well, could we simply spotlight, if that's the right term, the person who has the floor, as it were? Could we simply, the host simply provide for that person to be the sole one on the screen, indicating that they have the floor?
You definitely can do that. When you have all the people in the same room, the host can spotlight them. If you're in a breakout session and it's just 5 people there, it's probably best to not use spotlighting, because number 1, you need a host, and number 2, you probably want it to be more equal and egalitarian in those rooms.
Right.
But I think that there was another part to the question that I hadn't answered yet. From the person that had asked that question, I'm looking for your name again in the chat. That was Dolores. So
Sorry, Dolores, yes.
So to move from, if we were to move people, you can do this. You could say admin controls, notify breakout rooms, and it can say, please start with question 2 now. And then it shows here. It also has a chime if you're in this room. So this is one way to move the people along if they're staying at the same table. And you do have to let them know that anytime they hear a chime, it's going to be either we're changing question or we're changing tables. So please pay attention to what's on the web page, because people will be so engrossed in what's going on in Zoom but they may not notice what's going on the web page. Half the people will not be able to manage 2 windows. They're just going to want to stay in Zoom, and those people should stay there. The other people, you just need one person to know, oh, okay, we've got, the question has changed, everybody. I just noticed, and then they're the one that informs everybody else.
Lucas, I have 2 quick questions before we do the trial thing. One, kind of about breakouts within breakouts. So say I have a breakout room, I'm a facilitator in that, and as part of my event, I want the people in my breakout room to all do some pair sharing. And so I'm going to break them up within the breakout room. Is that possible?
Yes, so inside every QiqoChat space that we have here, you have a full Zoom meeting, which means in that Zoom meeting, you can have breakouts inside that Zoom meeting.
Okay, and then my other question is around closed captioning. So, we use Zoom at my organization, and we have an Otter AI account that provides closed captioning. So I'm just curious what closed captioning tools you have.
The same there's 2. The same closed captioning that you have regular in Zoom, you have here in QiqoChat, because it's a full Zoom meeting built on top of Qiqo. Qiqo's built on top of full Zoom meeting. And then.
But we pay extra. I mean, I don't know that Zoom has anything embedded. Like, we pay extra for a closed captioning feature with Zoom on my own account, unless there's something new with Zoom. So
you can use your own Zoom meeting in Qiqo too. So you can continue using that service that you're already paying for out there. There's another fun one that's called Wordly that can translate English into 18 languages at the same time. And it listens in one language, and then it'll translate it into all those languages. The cost is $150 an hour. And we've only used it for one event with the United Nations, and it worked great.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait, Lucas, $150 an hour for that whole 2,000 person UN meeting?
$150 an hour for the tool called Wordly.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
The translators, we were paying more than that per hour for a translator that goes from English to Spanish or English to French. So this will do listening in one language, and you could set it to which language you want. You can also change it. Listens in one language and outputs into 18 languages. People can listen in the language that they want. A great complement to live translation, but some people definitely prefer to hear the emotion in a live interpreter's voice.
So is it in text, or is it, it'll have to be in text? So he listens in English, and then the AI behind the scenes translates it to French text or, Russian text.
That's right.
Got it. It says sign in or create a free account. That's number 1.
Okay, so click on the sign in button.
Okay. Okay.
And then in the top right-hand corner, you should see your name since we're already on Qiqo.
Yep, see it. Click on that.
If you click the down arrow, it's about the 4th one down, and it says My Events.
Okay.
Yay. And then, yeah, there should be a new circle or new event.
New circle. All right, thank you. I'm on my way.
Anybody who hasn't started, if there's anyone who hasn't started, if you would like to be the brave soul, and we will walk through on your screen. Some people might go ahead, some people might go behind, but anybody that hasn't started yet that wants to give it a shot, then you'll have me, and you'll definitely get it done. There'll be no questions, it'll be easy. All right, then anybody that has already started wants to share what they created? And if you're stuck, if someone's stuck, even better, because then I'll show you how to get unstuck.
Because I'm trying to understand how to actually embed a tool if I wanted to practice like embedding something.
Oh, very good. Okay, we can do that next. Would you like to share your screen to show us what you've already created?
Sure.
Great.
I'm here in customize your main space and breakouts. The main space, just I called it orientation space, just like put something in here. And then I was like, yeah, so I just like go to your list and create something and find whatever their embed is and put it here.
Yes, you can just put in a Google Doc, or I can give you.
Okay. All right, let me try and figure this out and see what happens.
Great, great.
I have a question about World Cafe. So the tradition in World Cafe is, at least the ones I've been part of, one person or two people stay at a table. I guess in this context, it'll be in a particular room, and then everyone else randomly distributes to different other tables. So I'm sure there's a way to do that. I'm feeling that's a little bit more advanced from my skill set, but I've been thinking that one way to possibly precede that, if the group isn't too large, is to have a Google Doc where those different table assignments, kind of like a formal dinner, we have a little name card where you're supposed to sit. Those different assignments are somewhat worked out in advance, just for me, just to reduce the lifetime administrative burden of trying to watch QiqoChat and Zoom and people's comments and manage all the little whistles and bells. But Lucas, if there's a alternative way, particularly that cycling through rhythm that you want with World Cafe, of people moving and participating with different other mixes, please share.
Oh, what you suggested doing, pre-planning it, sounds good to me, because one of the problems with that aspect of the World Cafe is that is to assure that that people arrive at a table with predominantly different people than the people that they've been with before. And so you're by pre-designing that, you would obviate that possible glitch.
Okay, thanks.
The first thing I think about, John, is, well, how do we do it in person? And does that work okay? Can we simulate it here? So I think in person, everyone decides who stays verbally, and then the others get up and go. What they have, it's easy. They could say, oh, there's an open chair. I'm going to sit there. You can,
okay.
If you put the limit of 5 people per room, then it kind of works the same way it works in person.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a bit random too. I think worst case, someone comes in and there's 7 people, if you didn't put the limit, and then they move themselves.
Which way this is an interesting question. Could it be possible to, I'm sure it is, for the facilitator to just release that limit? So for instance, I figured it all out, and wow, it's 30 people, it's gonna be great. But then 33 people arrived. So I made for 1, 2, 3 of the groups, open the limit up and say for the first 3 groups, it's going to be, you can go up 1 more person, something like that.
Yes, you can. So practically speaking, so you decide which rooms will have the restrictions and which ones won't. Although I think the thing that's going to save you the least amount of headache is just no restrictions.
Open them all, 1 more. Or just no restrictions.
No restrictions, and then let people, because people can solve problems. And like, oh, too many people here, I'm going to move myself. And they're going to see the profile icons. So okay. What I find is with more restrictions, just more things that you have to do to fix the problem. Whereas if you let them solve it, then they'll solve it.
So like in live, you would go, just make sure there's no more than 6 people to a room. And people can count, and you go, oh my God, I'm the 7th person, I'll keep looking. And they just figure it out. Okay.
That's my style, but doesn't work for all audiences. You get some clients that really want a lot of control, don't want anything to go wrong. But
I'm laughing because clients want nothing to go wrong. It's like, don't do the event. That's how you prevent things from going wrong.
Yep. So I'd say, if you can, don't put a limit on there. Let people move themselves. So I think that a lot of people got what they wanted out of this conference. This conference call, you're free to go or stay. But here, I'm here to answer any questions you have. I think that Brooke had a question about moving further into how do I start putting in other tools into the event space? Is that something that you'd like me to answer now, Brooke?
I think I figured out how to do it. I can share my screen, but I feel like I'm not entirely
You got it. Okay. You got a survey in there.
I got a survey in there.
Wow. Go Brooke.
I will say, like, I'm a little bit more tech comfortable probably than most people, so like I had to do a little deciphering of how to do that. So I will just say, as feedback, probably not super easy for the non-tech comfy. Yeah, I still haven't figured out like how I would put like different, like we went to those other rooms and they had like different tabs across here. Or like, so I like, where's my, did I replace my notes page with a survey? I'm not sure what I did here.
You did. So it's easy to put one tool in any room. By default, it comes with all the notes, and you put in the form into the page. And if you wanted to put multiple tools in, it's a little more complicated, and I'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
So can you do this? Can you share? Let's let everybody else catch up that wants to catch up. So can you share the link to that survey, if that's all right?
My like the actual Google form.
Is that okay? Or
yeah, I mean, for other people to try embedding.
Yes, if you can, share on Zoom here, and then
I'm just okay.
And then we'll ask someone who hasn't done it yet. We'll walk them through, and then we'll come back to you, Brooke. And for you, Brooke, I'll show you how to put in multiple tools per. So if somebody wants to take that tool,
here's the dessert survey.
Thank you. Any brave soul want to take that link, and then we'll put it into your event.
All right. Well, what do I need to get out here?
It might be helpful to copy that link first, because when you start screen sharing, it's harder to get into Zoom's chat.
I know. Okay, I got it. Let me screen share. Let's go back to Zoom. Share screen. It's going to be Google, and we're going to go share. Okay.
Great. So if you copy the link to that tool, that survey at the top in your address bar, or you copied it out of Zoom, or maybe you still have it copied, let's go to open up your event.
So I think this is my event. No. Is this it? This is
it. All right.
Okay.
So now.
Oh, and while I'm on here, what does Qiqo mean?
Quality in, quality out.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. In computer science, it's a little bit.
Not like trash in, trash out, garbage in, garbage out.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We flipped it.
Okay.
Let's start from the top. At the tab number 3 in your browser, what you're building here is a circle. And so a circle is like a Qiqo circle Facebook group. Circles are a place for the same group of people to use multiple tools or to go to multiple events. So we're going to do something simpler right now, is just create one event. An event doesn't have to be in a circle, but it can be. So you can leave this tab open. Please click on tab number 3, which says Events, Example Community, tab number 3 in the browser.
This one?
Yes, please. Let's click, we'll click Add an Event.
This one right here.
And this is in the example circle. This one's a demo.QiqoChat. Okay, so we're adding a new event. And the only other thing you have to do is where it says red required, we're going to put in the number of minutes.
Duration, and we're going to put in 30.
30, perfect. So that's all we need is a name of an event, a start time, a duration, and now we click the green button at the bottom.
Way at the bottom right here.
That's right.
Schedule.
And it'll put your play add event into the calendar. Its page is going to refresh in a moment.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. So click on enter the event. The
Add
green-
event, enter.
You got
Okay.
it. So now we're entering your event space, and we'll quickly take a look and see participate now.
Okay.
So that's the landing page. This is where people can register. Now you're in the event space. So you've got a list of breakout rooms going down the bottom on the left.
Yeah.
And when you're in any of them, right now you're in the main room. You've got notes on the right and Zoom video at the top. And
Zoom
so-
video, join Zoom video. Got it. Okay.
Malia, thank you for the comment. Just feel free to reach out, lucas@QiqoChat.com. Look forward to connecting with you at any point in the future. All right, so those are the notes for the main room. And now let's say we wanted to put in Brooke's survey into the main room.
Okay.
This will take 1 minute. So we'll click edit at the top left of the page where it says,
Right here.
yep, now we're back at the form where we created the event.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll down a little bit and click the orange section, which says customize your main space. It's the orange.
Right here.
That's right. So here you could choose the number of breakout spaces you want. You can add a title for the breakout spaces. We can skip all this for now. Let's scroll down a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And it says online tools and notes pages. So paste in what the link that you have, that's that form. And
Okay.
then scroll all the way down.
And the screen kind of accept update button.
Yes.
Go. All right. Dingo.
All right.
Thank you,
So-
Brooke.
Thank you, John, for being the brave soul to try that out. Now, if you go down to room 1, you'll see it's still the same notes page. So any page that you did not put in a tool, it's still gonna have the same notes that were there before.
No,
Okay.
I'm
And when you
curious,
pasted in
I
that,
accidentally deleted my note page. So I don't, like when I embedded my survey, the note page
Mm-hmm.
went away. So I don't know how I put the note page back in or don't accidentally delete my note page.
fortunately, the note page is still there. It's just obscured by the survey. So by default, we put one tool in each page. Here, we put the survey on, so it replaces the notes. It didn't delete them, just replaces them. And now I'll show you how to put multiple tools. So maybe you want notes and survey, or
Yeah.
Google Doc and video and survey and this and that. All right, Brooke, so this one is more complex, but we're going to use a Google Sheet to keep track of it all. We're going to say, here's all the rooms, and here's all the tabs we want going across the top. So do you use Google Sheets ever, Brooke, or Google
Yeah.
Drive? Okay, you're the perfect volunteer. Please, please share your screen when you're ready.
All right. Let's, where was my, I have too many windows open on my computer right now. Where did the,
God, did you see how many tabs Lucas has on his computer?
hold on a second. Give me a second here.
Of course.
Let me go to, that's why it's doing it. All right. Here we go.
Lucas has one of
My-
those
my
Macs with
drive.
mega
Okay, this is-
processing.
here we go. Now I'm ready to share. I also have like just way too much open.
I know the feeling.
All right, here's. All right, so
Thank you, Brooke.
here's my drive and I'll make a new, I guess, sheet.
Oh, you don't have to do that just yet. There's a,
Okay,
let's go to the QiqoChat event.
all
We'll
right.
start from there.
All right, it's in edit mode. Should I just update and go out or?
So that everybody catches up, please refresh the page. And now you've clicked the edit button on your event. So
Yeah.
now here you are. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the orange section that John was just in a moment ago. Customize your main space and breakouts. Please click on that. So here you've already chosen the 4 breakout spaces you want. You can add a title for each space. So here's how these work. Every row is for the next room. So you
So the
put
first
something,
row is for the main room.
that's right. And then the next row is for the next room. So these are the titles for each of the rooms. Titles like a room, it's like kind of like a room name. titles are best when they're short, but the topics could be longer. So these will work. For the first one, I would just call it main room.
Okay.
And normally people are putting things like room A, room B, room C, or ballroom A, ballroom B, ballroom C, or something short. You could just say housing. So, or room 1, housing, great. Now I think that is going to work well. And the fortunate thing is you can always try it out. If you don't like it, you come back in here and you're editing it again. But this is the first thing to learn about the edit page on Qiqo. It's meant so that you can copy and paste a list in quickly. So you can copy and paste all your rooms in, all your topics in, all your tools in. Let's hold here and go down to the green button at the bottom and click update, and then we'll see the changes you've made. And then we'll come back in here and add some more changes. So there you go, main room lobby, room 1 housing, looking good.
Okay, so go back to editing.
We'll click on edit. And now we'll go into the orange section. Let's take the next step. So the next one that's blank is discussion topic. So how about we put some discussion topics? You kind of have housing, transportation already, and that's okay. We can leave them as it is. Maybe here we're going to put in 3 p.m. and then the next line 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Or oh, there you go. Put in a good question if you've got one at the top of your mind. It really could be, it's free form text and it could be longer. This is the place you could put additional information that doesn't fit in the room name. That's what the topics are. This is something that you would use in every event that you set up probably. So we put the things you use most commonly at the top of the form. I will note that the main space where you say orientation, that's the only time on this form where the main space is separate. So normally the main space is row 1 in these multi-line forms. But it's resilient. So if you got something you weren't expecting, you can just come back in and edit. But these are perfect topics. Let's go down to the green button at the bottom just to see you've put in all these topics. Let's see what it looks like when the topics are showing up. Perfect. There are the topics and there are the room names. I think this is very easy for people to figure out what they're going to do here. Let's click on room 1 or 2 or 3, and then you'll see what happens at the top left of the page. There's your topic, and there's join video for room 1 housing at the top left.
And then I can go, and to edit this room, then I would go edit, like if I wanted to put a video or something in here explaining.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you edit, you're kind of editing all of them at the same time. So you click edit, and let's go down to the orange section. And we're going to go
I'm
down.
just customizing the breakout room, but this shows me all the.
Yeah, we're customizing all of them. So where you click edit, it's the same form. You're editing all of them at the same time. So there we've got the room names, we've got the topics, and now this is where you put your form in. So it says online tools and notes pages. This is where you put your form. If you put that form down 1 row, then it's not going to be in the main room anymore. It'll be in room 1.
Okay.
Now, I want to show, please copy that form link. Copy that. And now this is the hardest thing that anyone is going to learn here today. It's how to put in multiple tabs in 1 or more rooms. Maybe you want a video, a PDF, but this is very useful to get the most out of QiqoChat. You saw how in less than a minute, you can create a conversation cafe. You don't need multiple tabs. You don't need to put any additional tools in. But if you want to put additional tools, this is the way to do it. Click helpful hints.
I have a question. I am going to leave the meeting. I know this is being recorded. Will the recorded session be available like later in QiqoChat this week, or will it be emailed out to everybody?
I expect that you will be able to come right back to these event spaces and you will see the videos posted here in whichever room had the session, although I'm not sure. NCDD will be giving you the definitive answer over email about where all the recordings will be.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for
I
being here,
appreciate
Ellen.
it.
You're welcome.
You too, and I will email you with questions if I have any.
Great to meet you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we get back with Brooke?
All right, I'm back.
All right, Brooke. When you're ready, please share your
All right.
screen. Excellent. And then where it says online tools and notes pages, please click helpful hints. And in paragraph 3, it says, we recommend keeping a list of all your notes pages outside of QiqoChat. So we've got dozens and dozens of tabs and tools. You're probably going to have a co-facilitator or assistant who's going to be going out and putting this together with you. So please click on where it says Google Spreadsheet Template. This is a multi-user tool. So many of you can be building and collecting all the links at the same time. So click make a copy. You're copying our template. And I'll show you how this works. The instructions are at the top, but I'm going to speak the instructions so you don't have to figure it out. So on the left-hand side, you can put the names of your rooms, like main space, room 1, room 2. You don't have to do that now. You could leave it as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then going across the top from left to right, you see tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. You see right by your, so you see it says tab name and a link, tab name and a link, tab name and a link. So here, every one of your tabs, you have a link like your Google survey, and it also has a name. So how about in room 1, right where you are, you can paste that link and you could put the name as survey.
Okay. I'm not sure what I've copied. Let me go get the survey again.
And this is how you do it. So that's as hard as it's going to get. Notice the green column is updating. So it puts it in the right format.
Oh, so then I would just copy and paste this
The green
into that orange space.
Yes, let's go ahead and copy that green column. You just need the cells that have something in them. So the first 2 cells, you could take the top 10 cells, whatever you like. And now let's paste it into the orange space. Exactly. You copy the cells. You will need to copy both. You got them both. Perfect. And then scroll down under this gray area. You could delete what's in there and paste right on top. And now go all the way down to the bottom and click update. And so that's how it's done. Here are the pages that were in there by default. I think there was an example, then some Google drawing tool, and then a YouTube video. And the survey that you put in is in the next room. There's the video. All right, so that is a little more complex for sure, but this is how you put in multiple tabs. And one more helpful link is, in order to put it into Qiqo, it has to exist online already. So here is where you can upload any new documents.
Where am I doing that? Should I stop sharing?
I put it in the Zoom chat. You don't need to go there. Let's pause here to take any additional questions that you might have, Brooke. But if somebody has a PDF and they want to put it into Qiqo, then use that link that I just shared to put it up on Qiqo, and then you're going to take the link and you put it in that link tracker, that spreadsheet.
I'll just remind everyone that you can save the chat. There's a little 3 dots at the bottom of the chat window, right parallel to where it says everyone. If you click on that, it'll save it to your hard drive somewhere. So.
Thanks, John. And what I'll do also is I'll take all those links from the chat, I'll put them into this page. So you can come back to this event space where this workshop happened. Hopefully you'll find the recording there, and you'll also find notes from our session. And that's another advantage of doing an event in Qiqo, is that you've got a link you can go back to for notes like that. And it's especially useful for a community of practice where someone can't attend a meeting, they want to go find the notes, they go actually into the event after the event's over, they can see the notes there. We're particularly interested in helping communities of practice use Qiqo. So if you would like help thinking through what tools could be used for your community, is it the written conversations, is it the forum, is it the calendar, or the newsletter, is it weekly happy hours, is it the water cooler space where people can go at any time, integrating into Slack or Google Calendar, Google Drive? We're working on documenting all of these options, but you probably want someone's help to say, to listen to what your needs are, and then we can say, oh, this is what we've seen other people do. Well,
and from what I can tell, right, like there is a free option. So if we, for smaller groups, if we just want to kind of play with the tool a little bit and do like a test gathering just to get a sense of.
Absolutely. With the link in the chat, in Zoom chat, where you can create your own event, you can put it in the demo circle. The demo circle is for free events where you just test and test. You can make them hidden so nobody else shows up at your event.
Just a quick question. So, all right, I enjoyed setting it up and playing with it and watching what Brooke has done. I go through my event and now I get to the end of it, right? Our session is now coming to an end. I played with how I could see the different notes. I'm assuming you can then also save them. So let's say, you know, you were using this as a planning workshop for some reason, right? There was good discussion, some action steps came out of it. You can save it out and take it with you.
Yes, let's take a look at those examples here. I'm pulling up the example conversation cafe. The export button is down here. Export as plain text, HTML. I think that's plain text is what you'd want. Alternatively, you could just copy and paste them. If I go in as the admin and I want to see all notes of all tables at the same time, I click View All Breakout Notes. And then I will see them all. So here's the main room. I scroll down. Here's what John, Jim, and Mary were talking about. Joe, Jose, and Sally. So you can then copy them and paste them somewhere else. They also live here, so they're permanent until you delete them. Well, we don't delete them unless you want them deleted. One other option is if you're using Google Docs, then you have more advanced export capabilities like export to PDF.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for those kind words, Donna. And one thing that we got a few other tools that I think will be helpful for groups of people using QiqoChat. So if you go to click on your name and then My Meeting Tools, you can create what's called a notebook, which is just a collection of notes pages like this. You can also snap your fingers and create 100 Google Docs that copy a certain template. So you make one Google Doc, and then you can make 100 copies of it. And if you follow the prompts, you can copy those 100 and put them into your Qiqo event. There's other helpful tools that as we've been building conferences over the past year and a half, sometimes there's these international conferences and people want to know what time it is. So here are these clocks that we could put in. And even if you're not using QiqoChat for your Zoom meeting and for your breakout spaces, but you want a bunch of clocks, that's coming soon. So other free tools for facilitators where you can bring them into your events. So just that's what we're working on. We want to help people start using the easy tools, even if they're not using Qiqo and paying us, but then they start to say, oh, I could use this next time, this next time. And once you learn something, you learn something each event. So all your events keep getting a little bit better. Thanks so very much for those kind words, Donna. I appreciate it. I'll stay on here for another 11 minutes or so, but the floor is open. Does anyone else have any additional questions or suggestions, things that they'd like to see? I recognize that you don't feel 100% comfortable to go out and create big events for your best clients yet, but we do have open office hours. So you now know a lot of things that are possible. You're going to ruminate on them. You'll be driving down the street and you're like, I wonder if it could do this. Well, show up at open office hours and we talk about it. And we can show you how it's been done. And if it can't yet be done, and we think it's something that other facilitators can use, then we build it into the platform. So that's why some of these things, like someone says, well, how do we put a max number of people per breakout? Well, it's because somebody asked that question months ago, that's why it exists now. So you're always welcome to ask us for new suggestions, and then we can build it in. Floor is open. Any final questions or thoughts or suggestions?
For the last few minutes, maybe each of us sort of round robin, it's about 8 of us, to just kind of harvest verbally to you an appreciation of your attention and time to pull this platform together and share it with everyone. So I'll kick in. John Perkins, Seattle again. And I attended, the only first time I really dealt with it was a world open space that took 24 hours. And it was hosted by a new city or a new organization, I think every 4 hours. Is that right, Lucas? So it started off at 8 a.m. and then at noon, there was a new one, then at 4 p.m. and on around the clock. I went to about 5 of the 6 of those just to kick off pieces, because that's the part of open space I enjoy. And I gotta say, for that complexity and for that breadth of participation, it worked really well. I had a sense of maybe 10 people behind the scenes rapidly helping people out and, plugging different people's confusions. But it was really a pretty powerful example of capabilities that you've built into the technology. So I really want to appreciate you for you're the chief programmer, man. It's a lot of code, a lot of lines of code. So thank you.
Thanks for that. That was a great event. April Jefferson was the one who put that together with Lena Morbach.
Well, I wish I had access to events like this when I was still in college. It would have been an extremely helpful platform for a lot of the extracurriculars.
I'll go next. Unlike Cleo, I'm at the end of my career instead of the beginning of my career, and I participated 2 weeks ago in a meeting that people around the world participated in. It was small, but it was done by World Cafe, and I could see that platforms like this. I'm just so it's challenging. The world is challenging, and our country has many challenges today. And I really think that one of the things as a facilitator and a person who trains facilitators, I really think that it's so important to be able to tap the wisdom of all people, and doing it face to face is difficult. And especially if we're talking about a global community. And I just feel so much more, having attended this session, feels so much more light, it's made me feel real hopeful that there is real opportunity now online to be able to connect people and create the synergy that can change the energy in our country and in our world. So anyway, that's so much feedback. That's how I feel.
Yeah, this is Brooke. I'm have a lot to ruminate on, right? So I work for local government, and so we're definitely exploring ways to have more deliberative conversations about kind of decisions the city have to make, and these are conversations that will lead to actual decisions that get made, whether it's a policy change or something like that. So I could see this tool being really useful for like an open house type thing. And I know over this past year, one thing that we've heard from our community is like having an online option like this is more accessible for some people when they don't have to worry about transportation or childcare, or they have a mobility issue or any number of things. So I think I really don't know like how we're going to blend the in-person, because there's also a real big desire, like we want to get back together to actually seeing people in person, and lots of Zoom fatigue or online fatigue. So I'm really curious to things that way is like how much energy or enthusiasm will there be for online stuff once everything is all the way open. And also, I really think a lot about, when somebody enters an online space, that it should be really easy to use. And because we definitely have lots of folks who aren't super comfortable with technology. So I think I'd be really interested to do some testing with users. I'm also in a pretty diverse community, so we didn't get to talk much about translation and seeing, like, particularly the text or the instructions. And I could see doing things where there's rooms in different languages, or just putting materials up there. I mean, there's always that Google Translate button, which is something, but it's imperfect. So lots to think about. This is really
great points. If you click on your name at the top right, you could see there's 19 languages that the instructions are in. And then if you have a document in Spanish and a document in English, we will show just the right one. But there's a certain way to set that up. So something that we'd have to work together on. So I could show you the first time.
This is Harold. This is my first time to, I've done some facilitation work using Zoom, so I'm really excited about this platform. And a number of my clients tend to be more in rural areas. And so I'm really looking at this, and like Brooke, I'm ruminating, okay, so how might this work, particularly since one of them is out of state, in a different state than I am. But then I'm also thinking about things like broadband, and how much bandwidth. So I think, I see a lot of potential here, particularly when you're doing coalitional type work where people are geographically dispersed. This could certainly, make it possible to do that. So I'm excited about seeing how we might explore this further.
Super, Harold. And I found that Zoom does a good job with bandwidth compared to Microsoft Teams. If you needed to use Microsoft Teams with QiqoChat or Google Meet or Jitsi, WebEx, all of those have links, and you can assign those links to any room. So additionally, people can dial in by phone is the backup in case they don't have broadband, but they can watch the video, and it might be choppy, better than nothing, but they'll call in and they'll get a clear connection. So it's great that Zoom has done that. Stephen, if you're with us, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, I came in, I've been in and out, so that's why I had my video off. I looked up at one point and saw the survey thing, so I'm very interested in, and I can catch up with you later to talk about that, because as you may remember, the whole idea of metrics and surveying, be able to, as far as like exit surveys for all of this, and standardizing it so there's not 1,000 different surveys. That's something I'm very interested in setting up. So
great. Thanks for being here, Steve. And John, thanks for suggesting everybody as a share. It was very valuable to hear all those insights. And my commitment to you is, if you want to learn more about Qiqo and apply it to your first event, I'll make sure that you succeed. And with these things, I find that it's like the battle is won before it's fought. The complexity of figuring out how do we want the people to flow between all these different breakout spaces over how many minutes, what actions, all that thinking is what you naturally have done. Now you're just applying it to an online context. Once you create your vision for the event, how you want it to work, it's our job to make sure that it's easy enough for you to configure QiqoChat. You do the design, but QiqoChat has to support that design. And if anything is unclear, we have all those open office hours. And also I'll make myself available. April Jefferson, who's an expert facilitator who did that big event that John was talking about, she's on our team too as a consultant. So she is available to also help. So please just reach out. We love helping people do this work. And we don't know all the answers, and let's figure it out together.
That's why we dialogue and deliberate, because nobody's got all the answers.
I mean, I know, Lucas, if I were to introduce this tool, I will just give you this. I will get a lot of, like my IT department would have to approve it for various security, and liability stuff, with the government. And there will definitely be lots of questions about data retention and records retention. That is really interested in that. So, I mean, that would be maybe a follow-up question, but, we just have, we figured it out for Zoom. So I'm assuming since we've done it for Zoom, we can do it for this, but there will be a lot of implications around, any notes that somebody puts up, any contributions that end up there, all become part of the public record. And I can
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
a lot to think about in the government context. We're happy to have that conversation with that team. All our servers are in the European Union because they have more restrictive privacy requirements. And for the 40% of Qiqo customers that are in Europe, that's what they need to hear. So that's why they're all based over there. And the European Commission has used QiqoChat. Different ambassadors have used QiqoChat. The German government has used QiqoChat, and they have take privacy very seriously.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's all answerable. I just know those are the things that I will have to some of the red tape that has to be gone through to use something like this in a government context.
We're happy to help. Thanks, Brooke.
All right, I'm signing out. It's actually you're on the landing strip right now. It's 11:02. So thank you, Lucas. Thank you, people.
Bye, all.
Yeah.
Thank you.